Welcome to Life Esteem, a program committed to delivering information that's important to you and your community. Your hosts are Nathaniel and Patricia Gadsden.
Hello and welcome to Life Esteem again. Always great to have you as a viewer. Hey, today we have an outstanding person with us by the name of Simone Green. You may have heard of her. She has a best-selling book out called Time Served at Life and Times of Death Row Records, right? And also she's an outstanding photographer. And so we're just glad to have her here in the area. Simone, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, okay. And so Death Row Records, man, boy, when you say that, it's like, wow, we're talking Suge Knight and the boys, right?
Yeah,
Yes, indeed.
Unbelievable. When you were actually there.
I was actually there. I was the chief photographer at Death Row probably about 8 months after they started. And when I left, it was almost like the cremation of Death Row because it started to tumble after that.
Yeah, so you did how many years then?
Probably almost 2.
2 years, wow.
Almost
And
2.
you saw a whole bunch of stuff then. Huh?
Yeah, I saw a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
you know.
Tell us some of the artists that you work with, people that you were able to shoot.
Well, with Death Row Records, I photographed Snoop and I photographed Dr. Dre, the Lady of Rage, Jewel, the Dog Pound. They had a young guy named Danny Boy that was from Chicago that I think was going to do very well.
Okay.
But I've been a photographer for 37 years.
Okay.
So I had already been exposed to the entertainment industry already. My cousin was Melvin Franklin from The Temptations, so he kind of walked me on this path of getting started.
And I see in your book there that you have a picture of you and Melvin.
Yeah.
And many others, by the way.
Yeah.
And just amazing stuff, absolutely amazing and fascinating. And it wasn't always pleasant at Death Row, is that right?
No, it wasn't always
so we're gonna
pleasant
get
at
into
Death
that as
Row,
well.
but I can say that it was an experience, a life learning experience that has channeled a lot of different things for me on how I do business now.
Now it's interesting as I was reading your book as well and the journey that you took, right?
Yes.
I just really kind of was very exciting in one way, but in another way a little eerie in some instances as well. And because you initially were in, you're from Baltimore now. Is it Baltimore your hometown? Or you just,
No, I'm originally from Buffalo, New York.
you're
Born and raised.
Buffalo, New York. Okay.
Right, and then I went to Detroit.
Detroit. I've heard about the Detroit. Okay.
Right. And I kept going to California trying to get my feet wet. And every time I went, I had to come back because it wasn't right at that moment. And then when I graduated from college, packed up my car and hit the road.
I know that's that journey. It was
That
just
journey.
really.
The book is called Time Served, My Days and Nights on Death Row Records, but it's really my journey in life, from college and going back to California for the last time, and everything that happened in the process.
Okay. There's one part of the book that just fascinates me, of course, and I'm going to call it the incident. I mean, you were actually assaulted there.
Yes, I was assaulted.
Yeah.
It took me about 8 years to find out the real story behind it, and I'm not going to give it away in the book, but I had been friends. First of all, I knew Suge when he was younger. And he never put 2 and 2 together, not even till probably recently, that he might have thought about it and said, I remember her now, because I used to work at Solar Records as a freelance photographer. But when the incident occurred, I had no clue that it was about to happen. He asked me some questions on that Friday. The eerie part is that when he signed my paycheck, he signed it with red ink. And that made me think for all weekend. I was like, oh God, why did he sign my check with red ink? And later that evening on Friday, he asked me to come in to the office and work with the editor for the magazine. First he said, you're gonna be the receptionist this week.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, nah, I'm not the receptionist. See, I had to really let him know I'm not the receptionist.
Absolutely right.
So he said, okay, well, you can work with the editor. But in the meantime, that's when he was getting his plan together on what he was going to do and how he was going to do it. And I had no clue. And about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the incident occurred. He called us all back in the office, and the attorney was there, and he had somebody there to videotape it. And we never seen none of these people come into the office.
Wow.
He snuck them through the back door.
Mm-hmm.
He even had his luggage because it was the Super Bowl was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So the attorney was there, the office manager was there, and this whole incident went down. And I at first I didn't know how to deal with it. I got out of there within like 30 seconds.
Right.
But it felt like it was about 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got out and went to the ladies' room. Well, this is down the hall from the corporate offices for Interscope Records. So you wouldn't really think that this kind of stuff would happen in Westwood, California. Well, it did.
It did.
Yeah.
And after that, Melvin was a little upset about it because he found out later, because me and him happened to go to the hospital the same day. The incident happened and Melvin went to the hospital. So we were both there. He found out, my nephew told him, and he was furious. But I didn't see him for a couple of days. So by the time I saw him, I looked like I had been in a fight with Muhammad Ali.
I know what you mean.
Goodness.
And he was furious, you know. So then I left Los Angeles again. Now I've been back out there several times since it happened. But the incident was, I think it was something that was going to open the door for me to speak to young people, because a lot of young people get caught up wanting to be a star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they think it happens overnight, and it really doesn't.
No, not at all.
And matter of fact, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen.
No, amen.
So that's what I think happened with the incident.
All right.
It opened the door for me to do the book. And I kept doing these rewrites. I got my niece involved. I got different people involved in the project. And it just wasn't there. Then I went to a publishing company in New York, and they wanted me to sign a blank contract and do a $5 million insurance policy on my life that they would collect on. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen.
Oh, my goodness.
You know. So then me and my fiance got together, and we decided that we would do it ourselves.
Good. Good.
And
Good
so,
for you.
Yeah.
Without having to worry about who's going to collect the money if something happens.
Something happens. Because you're talking about some pretty sensitive things that, are kind of revealing. And at the same time, we're talking about a guy, when we mentioned Suge Knight, I mean, he's pretty notorious in the industry, to say the least. His name was out there synonymous with, someone who really strong-armed people, that kind of thing. Also, wasn't he the person in the car with Tupac Shakur the night he was shot and killed?
Yes,
Okay,
he
he
was the
was.
person driving, right?
Yes, he was.
And Tupac, he was also wounded, I understand, but like barely. Yeah.
Well, if that's what you call a wound,
Okay.
it was a scratch.
It's a scratch.
That
Because
was a
some
scratch.
people now on the streets, people are saying that he actually set Tupac up. At least that's the stuff on the streets. I don't want to get you into no trouble.
Write a book.
Write a book.
I do not. I don't want to comment on
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
But I say write a book.
Yeah.
Because see, I was his friend too. So that tells you that if he's that kind of friend, I don't need no enemies, right? And but yeah,
Isn't
that's what
something?
they're saying on the street.
Yes, that's what they're
Well,
saying.
that's what they're saying.
Give us some insight into some of these people that we hear about all the time. I mean, Tupac is like mythical now. So you knew Tupac Shakur.
Oh, I love Tupac Shakur.
Tell us about Tupac.
I met Tupac. I drove, first of all, after I drove from Detroit back to Los Angeles, Val